DMVPN Phase 3. In this video, I'm going to talk about DMVPN. First, we will learn about the Phase 1 and Phase 2 and for example, some of the advantage or disadvantage of the Phase 1 and Phase 2. After that, we can talk about the DMVPN Phase 3 step by step. Okay, for understanding the DMVPN Phase 3, okay, we should learn some features related to the DMVPN. Because of that, we should start learning about them step by step. It is so important to learn everything correctly. Okay, let me to talk about first these two scenario. Here we have two simple scenario, and you have learned about these two scenario in the previous videos. The left scenario is the DMVPN Phase 1 and the right scenario is the DMVPN Phase 2. I have configured both of these two scenarios, and here now we have on the router 1 as the for example NHS or the hub router 1 MGRE tunnel. Okay, this is the hub router, and also here in the R2 and R3 we have two GRE tunnels. You know that in DMVPN Phase 1 we are using the MGRE tunnel on the for example hub router, and also the GRE point-to-point tunnel on the spoke routers. Because of that, here now we have the MGRE tunnel on the hub router, and in two spoke we have two GRE tunnel. Each of them has only one GRE tunnel. That's it. This is our configure. This is our scenario, and I have configured this scenario before. About the configuration of the DMVPN Phase 1, we have experience and we have talked before. Because of that, here I'm not going to talk about the configuration of Phase 1, but I want to give you a little more information about the Phase 1. Look at here. You know that here in the Phase 1 configuration, we can use static routing or dynamic routing. For example, one of the protocols that you can use in the dynamic routing is the RIP. Other protocol is the EIGRP or OSPF. Each of them can be used. For example, let me to use EIGRP because EIGRP is one of the most famous protocols, and also we have learned about it in this class. Because of that, I want to use the EIGRP, but it is not limited to the EIGRP. You can use other routing methods. Assume that here we have EIGRP. You know that router 2 and router 1 and router 3 and router 1, both of them, okay, should has neighborship with the EIGRP neighborship with the router 1. Let me to show you here. Between the router 2 and router 1 we have EIGRP neighborship, okay, after the configuration, and now we have this neighborship in this scenario. Also, you know that between the router 3 and router 1 also we have the EIGRP neighborship. Let me to show you. This is the EIGRP neighborship between the router 2 and router 1. Okay, and also let me to show you the next EIGRP neighborship between the router 3 and also router 1. All right, now you know that when R2 advertise one EIGRP update to the router 1 should advertise it to the router 3. Okay, for example, here in the router 2 we have 172.16.20/24. Because of that, we are sending this update to the router 1, okay, with EIGRP update, and also here we are receiving this update from the router 1. Actually 172.16.20/24 is receiving by the router 3, and you know that here for example, beside of this update we are receiving 172.16.10/24 from the router 1. This is the next update that we are receiving from the router 1, and also it is possible that we receive more than this from the router 1, 172.16.10/24. Until now we didn't learn any new topics, okay, but we are learning them. And also you know that because in the Phase 1 we don't configure no next hop self command, the next hop, okay, of this update is the router 1, 192.168.123.1. This is the tunnel IP address, and you have learned about it in previous scenario. And here also next up is 192.168, for example 123.1. Here we don't have any for example new topic. Let me to show you, because I have configured this scenario before, and now we have this information in the router tree. Let me to show you. In the router tree you can use show IP, EIGRP neighbors. We have neighborship with the router 1 over tunnel 0, as you can see. Then show IP route, EIGRP. It is so easy. We have learned 172.16.10/24 from the router 1. The next stop is 192.168.123.1, and also 172.16.20/24. The next stop is 192.168.123.1. Here we don't have any new information. All right. Also in the router 2, we are receiving 172.16.10/24 and 172.16.30/24. Let me to show you. This is the router 2's routing table. Show IP route. Here we have these two network, and we don't have any problem about the connectivity between the router 2 and router 3. Let me to show you. Ping 172.16.3.1 with the source of loopback 0 from router 2. Okay, as you can see, we have connectivity. You know that this connectivity is establishing from the router 1, from the hub router. This is DMVPN phase 1, trace route 172.16.3.1, and source is the loopback 0. Traffic is going to the router 1, then to the router 3. It is so easy and so obvious. Very good. Now, let me to say that in DMVPN phase 1, one of the benefits that we have is the summarization. Okay, you know that if here this is possible that we are receiving, for example, multiple network. If you want, you can configure summarization in the hub router. Why? Because of the saving of the resources, like the bandwidth, like the for example CPU usage, memory usage, and some other things. You have learned about the summarization. For example, here you can configure this summarization in the EIGRP, and after summarization we will receive only one update instead of two updates. And here we are receiving 172.16, for example 00, then /22. It is possible. It is so easy. Let me to show you the configuration of EIGRP in the router 1. This is our configuration: router EIGRP NRC, address family IPv4 unicast autonomous system 1, network 172.16.1.1, this network 192.168.123.1 quad 0, the IP of tunnel 0, AF interface tunnel 0, no split horizon. Okay, now here we can easily configure the summarization with this command: summary address. You have learned about the summarization in the EIGRP. Summary address, then 172.16.00.255.255.252.0. That's it. It is so easy. Don't worry about, don't think only to EIGRP. This is possible in all routing protocols. Okay, actually here we are not talking about only EIGRP. This is not limited to the EIGRP. Let me to show you what is happening in the router 1. This is the router 1 conft router EIGRP NRC, address family IPv4 unicast AS1. Then under the AF interface tunnel 0, we are configuring the summary address to 172.16.00.255. Here we have used we can configure, okay, let me to show you, 172.16.00 here 255.255.255.20/22. Look at here, it is so easy. That's it. Now what is happening in the router 3? In the router 3 now we have one summary: show IP route EIGRP. We have one summary. Also in the router 2, as you can see, show IP route EIGRP, we have one summary. And also again we have connectivity from the router 2 to the router 3, and from router 3 to router 2. Ping 172.16.3.1 with the source of loopback 0. We don't have any problem. Okay, also if let me to show you trace route 172.16.3.1 with the source of loopback 0, we don't have any problem. We should wait a little more. After that, as you can see, now we have connectivity. So easy. Because of that, one of the advantage of the phase 1 is the possibility of the summarization. Also, if you want, you can advertise default route. Other option is advertising default route from the router 1. Let me to send default route instead of this summary. Default route is quad 0/0. It is interesting. Look at here. In the router 1, we can configure this command summary address, then quad 0. Okay, after that quad 0. That's it. So easy. Let me to show you. In the router 1, again, let me to configure router here. We should first remove the previous summary command. No, let me to remove it, and then we are